What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. I'm Billy Collins.
And I'm Matt Dodge.
And this is...
The Jock.
And the Magician.
Doesn't have the same ring to it. Magician and the Jock, baby.
The Magician and the Jock.
Welcome back. As you can tell from my... It looks like I just threw batting practice with this shirt.
You did. And, you know, I got the swag on today. You had it on the last episode.
Hey, man. Swaggy.
Swaggalicious.
So you got some shirts coming out.
Yeah.
Ruthless Rogue.
Ruthless Rogue, new brand. It's
going to be so successful.
You know what? Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna try. I mean, what the heck? I gotta try to support the channel.
Dude, I know everything.
Somehow.
I think you guys are gonna learn that over time. I know everything.
Everything.
I have had very little life experience, but
he is the master of.
That sounds good. Yeah, that's probably right.
The master, jack of all trades.
Hey, what is it? Bedazzle them with brilliance or baffle them with bullshit. And
well, I think we're probably going with a baffling.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know.
We'll let you guys decide. Leave a comment down below what you guys think. But what are we talking about today?
We are talking about humor.
Humor.
I would say, I don't know which button is the laughing. Yeah. Oh. We want to hear that more often.
More laughter. We all need a little bit of laughter in life.
Yeah. So humor is a big part of your life. If anyone's ever watched your magician stuff, magical nights on stage, you do incorporate a lot of humor.
I do, and you know, it's not that it's taboo in magic, but a lot of people frown upon it, and the same thing with comedians. Like comedians frown upon
humor.
They frown upon magic being in a comedy setup, but
I think it helps.
It helps. I mean,
I enjoy it. It
adds a little flavor.
Who's the guy, Piff the Magic Dragon?
Oh, he's so funny.
He's like, maybe you know my brother,
Steve.
So, yeah, I mean, humor is a big part of my life.
Yeah, I mean, many people have told you that you need to stand up. I would love to do that. That's what we need to do is we need to find an open mic night.
Try to bomb.
And I want to bring the camera and just film you.
What would your first stand-up joke be?
My first stand-up joke, I don't know if it'd be a joke. It'd probably be more like, ladies and gentlemen, this is my first time on stage as a comedian. And they say, don't talk about dick or shit jokes. So I'm not going to do that. Oh, by the way, the other day I farted. Yeah. Something like that. It would be just kind of.
Oh my God, that is going to be so classic.
You know,
can we go to the Comedy Store in California, or what? Aren't there places that are pretty well known?
Yeah,
brutal audiences.
Yeah, that's. I think it is the. What's the one at Pauly Shore's mom? I think it is.
I haven't talked to her in a while.
I think she's dead.
She's up there.
She is up there, but this morning, speaking of shit jokes, I walked in and I said, God, I could tell I've been eating a lot of fiber because my shit looks like a basket weaving.
Oh, my God.
People are so grossed out about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know why.
Did you say that to girls?
Yeah, actually. I got 2 numbers for that.
How did your marriage not last?
I questioning myself with that same situation now. I mean, come on. I'm a catch.
Hey.
I'm a catch and release, actually. I'm a catch and release right now.
I'm living vicariously through you.
Yeah, that's
for sure. Yeah, so humor. Do you think there is... So that's my natural default. It's like I'm always looking for the funny into everything. Is that kind of how you are too?
I am too. Even in situations where it's sad or emotional. My daughter, I think we had this conversation before privately about that. So we put our... My daughter's got the same sick sense of humor as you and I have. We were sitting in the car. We had just put my golden retriever, we put her down because she was getting old.
That is hilarious. You killed it?
I killed it on that. But So we're sitting there in the car waiting for them to bring her out and load her up. And my daughter goes, I'm so hungry. I said, I'm starving too. We're just sitting there waiting. And out of nowhere, she's like, I wonder what Nani would taste like.
Oh, my God.
It was the most morbid thing, but we just laughed and laughed and laughed.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like far-fetched out of nowhere.
That is, yeah. So I look for stuff like that too. It's stuff that if you wrote it down like on a transcript, it would seem this is horrible. Like when you take it out of context or you don't show the inflection. I mean, I know there's like bloggers go around to comedy shows, and they're not even comedy fans, but they'll blog about the comedian trying to get him canceled. You know, I know that's going down in Canada. Some guy was fined a ton of money because of the joke he made. Right. So, do you think for comedians, who's your favorite comedian of all time?
Robin Williams. He's always been he's the number one on my Mount Rushmore. Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy. I don't know who else. Those two are the top two.
Why is Robin Williams funny?
I think because Robin Williams, his energy, the energy on stage.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, when he would perform, his incredible.
He did give off like a cocaine vibe.
He did.
Sure.
He did. Even though he was off it after John Belushi. So John Belushi died, overdose, and then it kind of sent a shockwave, and he quit. If you watch the documentary, it's pretty interesting the way he did it. But he had all this energy on stage, and on top of that, his ability to ad-lib and just come up spontaneously off the cuff was incredible. And it just the voices he could do.
When I think of him, I think of more of like a performer, more so than a comedian. Like he happens to be a comedian, but he can do. I mean, you're like watching a movie.
Yeah,
he's not like a big punchline guy. At least I haven't listened to enough of him. Versus, there's all kinds. So I can see that. And then Eddie Murphy, clearly.
Eddie Murphy. Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Dave Chappelle.
Killing Them Softly. It was a special he did in 2000. Man, still to this day, one of the greatest specials ever. Oh, my God. He's like, sprinkle some crack on him. Let's get out of here. Like, so, and he could do a perfect white voice. Do you think there's anything off limits in comedy?
I don't think so. I mean, you go back
There's
to the
stuff
days
that's not funny, but
I mean, obviously, but you go back to the days where, like Lenny Bruce, when he would get arrested for saying, dropping F-bombs, and the comedy has progressed over the years, from Lenny Bruce to Cheech and Chong on stage doing their pot stuff, George Carlin.
Yeah.
Old Carlin was good, but he got older before he died. He was
pretty profound too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The 7 words, his album, The 7 Words that you can't say.
I wasn't a big, I mean, a lot of these guys are before my time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think when I came up, I love a good like one-liner. So Mitch Hedberg.
Dane Cook. I would think that was your era.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was another high energy guy. He's somebody too that, other comedians didn't really like, but I think it was more because he was such a great marketer. That's there. You have the comedians, right? The ones that are just brilliantly funny, but they may not be. They're kind of starving artists. They're not as good of marketers as Dane Cook was.
Yeah,
Dane Cook was everywhere.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the early 2000s, he was like the man.
Who do you like now? Like, I'm a big Bill Burr fan.
I love Bill Burr. Is probably my number one right now. I think it's because he pushes the buttons, and I like it when people agitate. They're.
Oh man.
It almost like when he said that when he was driving by, he said he wants to drive by a woman's feminist party or whatever, say the most anti-feminist thing, and just watch them go ballistic, or
just say men. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's great. He pretty red-pilled. He understands male-female dynamics pretty well, and he says it how it is. Yeah.
So who's your all-time number one?
I love Norm Macdonald. I could listen to him. I love Norm Macdonald, and he's kind of a comedian's comedian. Like it's almost if you ever hear other rappers talk about Eminem, there's like a certain reverence and they talk about him. That's how it is with Norm Macdonald, because he truly doesn't care at all. I mean, there's some legendary stories on how he would bomb on purpose, or he apparently was a pretty big troll on Saturday Night Live, stuff like that. So I still love Norm Macdonald a ton. Bill Burr. Got into Theo Vaughn. You know what's interesting? So what we're doing now, podcasting, comedians are dominating this.
Oh my gosh, Rogan and
Bert, whatever his name is, the original Van
Bert
Wilder.
yeah.
Tom Segura, Theo Vaughn, Bill Burr. I mean,
I'm drawing a blank right now, but I can see
Patrice O'Neill was still around.
Oh gosh, it'd be incredible.
Patrice O'Neill is another one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah,
and he spits some truth. What do you think? How do you make somebody laugh? Have you ever thought about it, like broken it down? I mean, a lot of it's natural, but there's certain things you can say that's going to get a laugh.
So mine, for me, when I try to make somebody laugh, I'll do the most obscure thing that they wouldn't expect me to do, like just start dancing randomly, or just something that just shocks people, or I'll say something that's very derogatory, or and they're like, oh, catch them off guard, and then they start laughing because I'll say shit that some people won't say, and that's how I approach it. Now on stage is obviously I kind of play with
I think magic and comedy have a lot of parallels, like in terms of misdirection and telling a story, and hey, look over here, but it's actually here.
Yeah. So my ex used to say that I was like DreamWorks, like Shrek, the movie, because
like
I could do like kid stuff, like you could bring your kids, but the parents, for example, I had a kid that came up on stage one time and his hands were in his pocket, and I was like, hey kid, take your hands out of your pocket. I don't need your hands for this, and we're not playing this game today. And then I was like, my dad told me that one time. He said, hey, son, you keep doing that, you're going to go blind. I said, I'm over here, Dad.
My God. But that's good. Yeah.
But the parents got it, and they laughed, but the kids didn't get it. Right. And if they did get it, it's not my fault.
Right. That's
it's on the parents.
Yeah, it's true. When I go back and watch Toy Story or these other Pixar's, you pick up a lot of stuff the older you get.
Your little innuendos that you're like, oh, that's funny.
I'm like, man, yeah, that's pretty good.
So that's how I basically write my shows. It's like, so everyone can come, but everyone can have a laugh.
Right.
Like the kids are there just because I want to pull a SpongeBob out of their ear or whatever the case may be.
They're there to see your magic. The parents are there for the kids, but
they need to get something too if they bought a ticket.
Entertained, yeah. I mean, because you're not fooling anyone. Like 40-year-old, they're not sitting there like.
It's sort of like when
it's a sorcerer.
When I'm out doing walk around magic, I incorporate some comedy with that. I just hit the mic with my beard. But
I hate when he does that.
It's so annoying. But I'll do a SpongeBob routine for the kids.
SpongeBob or SpongeBob?
SpongeBall.
Ball, okay.
I'll do it for the kids, but then I can turn it right around, like change a couple of the words and do it for the parents. Like, I'm divorced now. I got my balls back. Here you go. I want you to put
That's awesome.
Or I'll tell a lady, I'm like, I want you to examine these balls, but don't squeeze them. If you do, I go blind. It's stuff like that.
A lot of balls jokes. A lot of dick jokes, which are always funny.
I mean, that's my childish. I'm 48 years old, and I'm a damn man-child.
No, I mean, I think to be funny, to be quick-witted, it actually takes a pretty high level of intelligence. Like Norm Macdonald, for instance, he's a brilliant guy. A lot of them play kind of dumb, or Theo Vaughn plays that role pretty good too. Almost the clueless Southerner. He's got the mullet, but you hear how quick he is.
Oh, you have to be.
Yeah, it's just, and that his mind is conditioned to find, and it's, it's kind of similar with me. I do a lot better in an organic setting and just making little comments. I remember I had an older cousin that said, man, you got to get close to Matt because you'll miss, because he'll just it's just rapid fire. And when I get going, man, it's hard to turn off. Do you feel like you're in a groove sometime and you're like, I need to tone it down, but God, they're setting me up so good.
No, I do that, and it's kind of euphoric too, because you're like, oh my God, they're laughing. You want to keep going, keep going.
Absolutely.
You don't want to stop, but I will also say stuff under my breath, that people will get a chuckle over, and I just keep going and going, and I'm like, okay, bring it back. Get a little bit too saucy.
Do you have any like go-to either one-liners or so if I've met somebody for the first time, when we're done, I say, "Hey man, I'm glad you got a chance to meet me."
Yeah.
I'll just say something like simple like that, and they're like, "Huh?" And then they'll laugh every time. It kind of almost like I don't know if they're icebreakers or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if I have one, but I'll just pop. I've said that before. I'm glad you got to hang out with me, and or my go-to is when they were like, "Oh my God, you're funny," and I'll say, "Oh, stop it, you're just saying that because it's true." That's just kind of like my go-to.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Or like, "Oh my God, you are so awesome." I was like, "Oh, stop it, you're just saying that because it's true."
Yeah.
And then it catches them guard, and then they laugh. And
yeah, I mean, I do. So, as I mentioned before, I have a son, Jackson, and I'll be carrying. We'll be in the store or something, and somebody will come up. "Oh my God, he's so cute!" And I've done this 1,000 times. I'll say, "Yeah, but what about Jackson?" And it gets a laugh every single time. Because a lot of times when you make a joke like that, because everybody's kind of walking around with blinders on, I don't know if you've ever studied NLP,
Oh, yeah.
I've looked at it. It's just basically how to use words. How to use words. That was pretty good. Sorry, anyone
how
that's...
to use words.
What do you
like
got? Use words.
Then, so, and how.
Me fail English. That's impossible. That was I think it was Ralphie from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But they have a concept called like pattern interrupts. And a lot of times saying a joke, it jolts somebody out of, because a lot of we're just almost, I don't want to say sleepwalking through life, but we do things so habitual. Name the color of one car that you passed on the way over here. It's like, you probably couldn't, because you're so in your zone. And a lot of times a quick joke can jolt them out of that.
So those one-liners that you were just talking about,
yeah, I'm glad you had a chance to meet me. For clients that come in and they say they want decaf coffee, I always tell them that's a waste of bad breath.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
a waste of bad breath.
That's one of my favorites of you.
And I made that up too, but I was thinking, I'm like, why would you drink that just to have that bad breath? You're not even getting any benefit out of it, I'll do that. I can't help myself, man. Like if Chris was here, he'd back me up. Like, yeah. And my problem is,
I've seen it.
I never really break character. I never let people. I just keep it going, and they're just like, "Wait, was that funny, or was he being serious?" And I just walk away. So
it's you were talking about the glad you got to see me.
Mm-hmm. So glad you got to meet me.
Yeah, as a bartender, like when I'll make a drink for a girl, and I'll say, "How was it?" Or "How's it taste?" And I'm like, "Well, it's delicious." I'm like, I'm talking about the drink, or just something like that. But that's just me trying to get laid. But
I'm guessing that one's worked. You can see it.
Not once.
You got to make it a little bit stronger drink. Just kidding. Do you have any? So, I find humor with females, that's your best in.
Yeah.
Because I think if someone's laughing at something, they trust you. That's how I view it. Like if I can get somebody laughing, they drop their guard a little bit.
Opens up the door.
Yeah.
Shows your character, shows you're not so serious.
Yeah. And it's just, if someone's funny, you want to pay attention to what they have to say.
Now, I don't know why I keep breaking up, but there's the other day I was sitting there and a girl said, "I want to close out my tab." And I just stood there and looked at her.
Which is kind of creepy.
And she's like, "I want to close my tab." I was like, and she started laughing I was like, "I'm just joking. I'll get your tab."
Yeah. She's like, this guy. I didn't
so
realize someone had
weird.
Asperger's back there.
So
which is, that word to me is funny every time. Asperger's, yeah. Yeah, so I'll do stuff like that. Chris, I stole one from Chris. When someone says like potato, tomato, or tomato,
right.
tomato, he'll say, look, potato, tomato. Just say something like that. It gets people laughing. They're like, what? Or they're like, "Hey, man, you ready to go?" I'm like, "Dude, I was born naked." So I have like 7 or 8, and I probably say them at least every day, like multiple times a day.
Constantly.
Yeah. Well, do you use humor with? I mean, you use humor with everyone, but how are you funny with females other than staring at them until they feel uncomfortable.
Well, that was
and
just
blow
a
their
one
rape
just
whistle.
to see if that would try. But I just try to make them laugh, or I pretty much try to be funny to everyone, but especially females.
Yeah.
I think it's
I just absolutely own the table with this coffee cup. Sorry. It's like, thank God I
It's like
muted my mic.
they were building a new set or something.
Yeah.
Here. But I don't know. For me, it's just spontaneous.
Yeah.
Whenever they're at the bar or if I see them out, I'll just pop a joke or something.
Yeah.
And it's got to come to me. It's not like I can think about it and do it. It just happens on the fly. I just had vocal fry there. Yeah.
You know what? I watched a tutorial video on how to scream like a heavy metal. Guys, I'm moving a lot of dirt trying to figure out where the gold is in my life, but I heard vocal fry, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, that's what that was.
You just did it. So how do you think, do you think it's something you're born with?
I think so. Or you're born with, or you've been surrounded. It's been kind of your life the whole time. I mean, you come from a family I know all your family members, and they're all pretty funny, or they have a great attitude, or
if you ask people who've known me forever, they've known, like, I've been like that forever. I think it's almost a willingness to be silly.
And I think that I do think you're born with it, or you can inherit certain traits from being in the mix, but you have to have that personality, and I think we're born with the personality. Like Jackson. I mean, you show me videos, the kids just naturally. I mean, no one taught him. He just naturally came out funny.
Yeah, but I see him. He does now. I go back and watch old home videos of myself, and I look at my dad. I'm like, oh my God, I am my dad. Like, he was constantly cutting jokes, and I didn't really realize that till I got old. It was probably just annoying to me, but so there is that. It's the whole nature versus nurture. You're born with a lot of it, maybe the intellect, the quick-wittedness, whatever. Plus, hey, I had a funny dad. I always watched him. He got laughs. He got attention from doing that, because as kids, a lot of it's just getting attention.
Yeah.
Chris Farley talks about that. He was always the guy in the hallway running against, always doing that, and then they just somehow found a way to make money from it.
And I think for me on stage, doing repeated shows, you kind of learn new things. And when something works, you write it down.
Yeah.
And you incorporate it. So it's kind of like trial and error, learn on the job.
Have you found times when the crowd finds something you say is really funny that it was like really unintentional, and you're thinking, oh man, I stumbled upon something.
Yeah, that's a little bit of gold. That's the gold nuggets, and that's when you write it down. Or I used to tell my assistants, I'm like, look, if you hear something that's not supposed to be funny and it ends up funny, or write it down for me, because I can't do it when I'm on stage.
Yeah.
They're like, hold on, I got to write that down.
Yeah. Keep that. Yeah. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to film you. Yeah.
So what about you? Would you be willing to go on stage? And
absolutely.
Have you sat down and wrote out an entire comedy show? Like maybe 4 minutes. I think open mics are like 4 minutes long.
I have a couple stories that I could say that I know I've gotten laughs before. I don't know how funny they are to people that are showing up to find something funny. I mean, a lot of times you can be funny in a situation where someone's not expecting it.
Yeah.
Like you said, where that's a waste of bad breath or something, especially in my industry, it's real buttoned up. So people aren't really prepared for that. So I don't know how that dynamic would be, hey, we're here to laugh.
Now,
tell us a joke funny, man. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do my best.
So do you like the one-liner jokes?
I love one-liners.
Or do you like to have like a story scenario? Which would be your really true go-to? You have those people that can tell, like Dave Chappelle can tell a story.
Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart's a big storyteller.
Yeah, Mitch Hedberg is like, Stephen Wright is like, he's the same. Same.
There's another, Demetri Martin was similar to that too.
Yeah,
just
like,
real quick.
Yeah.
I I think if I had to go on stage tonight, I would just share some stories. And there's some things that I get laughs at all the time. Starting with, hey, when I was born, are you looking at, dude, pay attention to me, man.
I am. I'm listening.
Do you want to fill them in why you have a timer going right now? Because this was a big revelation in my life.
Yeah, so let's.
We're pros.
So, look, we're not pros. We're learning as we go, and you guys are here with us learning or watching us grow the channel. But I've actually got a timer on my phone here, and the reason is because we get to the 30-minute mark and it cuts out, and for some reason, DSLR cameras, which what we film on, they cut out, all of them cut out at 30 minutes because some sort of stupid tax law or whatever. And I tried to find ways not to have that happen so we don't have to do a break. But yeah, that's why
every show we're like, what the hell, man? Why'd the camera go on? We're like, dude, this thing's a piece of crap. And it's like, no, this programmed like that.
Yeah, it's like, I hate this camera. It's one of my favorite cameras I've ever have purchased, but just drives you nuts. And then that is the reason. It just drove me crazy. So I researched. So that is why I have the timer on the table, and but plus we're doing multiple angles now.
Yeah, guys. Hopefully y'all are enjoying this. We've got a bunch of cameras looking at us. Man, it's beautiful. We got to stick to the wide angle from further away. I accidentally just looked in one.
Could you just put a filter on that where it just blocks us out?
I'm gonna put the big Magician the Jock logo right over my grill. All right, cool. So, yeah, I think I would do more story, but I enjoy the one-liner stuff because there's no bad joke like a dad joke. One of the coolest thing about becoming a dad is now it's okay to say all these ridiculous jokes. But I think you have to have a lot more material if you're doing one-liners. I mean, 4 minutes of one-liners, you're talking
that's a lot.
20, 30 jokes. So I don't know. I've written down a bunch. I'll have to look them up. But
what's tell me a joke now.
Huh?
Like a one-line joke.
I don't have a mirror, dude. Oh, you said tell you one. Yeah. So I always bring up I was 11 pounds 8 ounces when I was born. But and then people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it was all head. I was shaped like a Pez dispenser because my head was so big, or like a lollipop. And that usually will get pretty good, clearly not from you, but that'll usually get a pretty good reaction. And then I'll go into...
Well, in fairness to Matt, I've heard that already a couple of times.
It's self-defecating humor, which I just learned what that means. All right, so he's going to go restart this camera, and we're going to be right back after this.
Commercial break.
And
we are back.
30 minutes done.
30 minutes in the books.
Yeah, so I don't know how I would do it. I would just start telling stories. I'll always defer to kind of making fun of myself. So I play, it's almost a character I play where it's like, I know everything. I started out like, hey, I know everything. I'm really smart. Because I can kind of come off like that sometimes as someone who thinks they know everything. But the reality is, dude, I do.
I know everything about everything.
So I'll overplay that and then just start kind of making fun of myself. So head, shaped like a Pez dispenser when I was a baby. Here's a joke I used when so my wife, we were checking the sex of Jack's. Well, we didn't know that we were still in the it phase, right? When your wife's pregnant,
and you're one of those,
and it's like, is it a boy or girl? You don't know. It's just it. So it's then you find out whether it's a boy or girl. So boy or girl. So we were looking at the screen, and they said, "Hey, it's a boy," and I was like, "All right." And I looked at her. I said, "When do we find out who the dad is?" And I was just deadpan. I was like, dude, I want to be at that appointment. That's an important one.
That's when he finds out.
So I'll ask stuff like that, like serious moments. Like also after she gave, she gave birth and you're at the hospital for a couple days. And the nurse says, hey, do you guys have any questions? Which never do that when I'm in the room. I was like, yeah, how long till she's skinny again? And it's like... Allison's on so much pain meds, just like So I'll do stuff like that. And then after we had Jackson, I had a lot of people, and I had this joke in the chamber ready for after he was born. They'll ask how much he weighs, right? And I think he was 8.5 pounds, so pretty good size. Nothing on me, but I said, the craziest thing, he actually lost 1.5 pounds the day he was born. 1.5 pounds. And it sounds almost believable. You're like, maybe he peed or something. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, circumcision. You're immediately thinking of baby dick skin, which is funny all the time. But when I read that, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. And I still use that to this day.
That's hilarious.
Have you ever heard that?
No, that's the first time I've heard that.
So yeah, dude, I use that one a lot.
Oh gosh, that's so good.
So I would guess these are kind of one-liners that you would weave into a story. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, and I immediately think, instead of saying, "Do you guys have any questions?" I say, "Yeah, what? I got a question. What's the smartest animal in the world?" Like just some obscure and just.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just like, yeah, if a train A leaves this way, and the train B, just. Some random, just watch your face.
Did you know the human head weighs? Was that from
8 pounds? Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. So do you think it's helped or hindered in your life?
I've 100% helped. I mean, kind of,
Has it ever gotten you into trouble?
Yeah. I've said some random shit that I probably shouldn't have said before. Because I'll do that, like under my breath or.
Yeah.
It's like the Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation when he goes, "Can I get you anything, Eddie? Some more eggnog? Something to eat? Drive you out to the middle of nowhere, leave you for dead?" It's just, I'll just add those.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, "Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss your ass. Kiss his ass."
Yeah.
It's those things under my breath that people don't catch.
Absolutely.
But I got caught one time. I was serving a drink, and usually I'll say, I'll tell the lady, "This is a very good drink. I started with my finger, so it's extra sweet."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Did you really?" Like, she got so pissed. I was like,
screw her, dude.
Yeah, it was just a joke.
All right, next time.
My penis.
I went to, we were having I was either like a big Christmas meal or Thanksgiving meal at church. And, so there's like a big platter of mashed potatoes. So this works if there's mashed potatoes, if there's a cake or anything, but you just make sure someone's kind of looking at you. You walk up to the table and you just run your finger like that over top, and you're like, man, not bad. And because obviously it looks like you will piss, like the panic like, especially if it's like a wedding cake. I'm just like, oh, and it looks pretty legit, dude. That gets them mad. Do you think, I think your camera just died.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you think women can be funny?
Yeah.
To name your favorite female comedian. Doesn't have one. Doesn't have one.
I don't have a favorite. I think Whitney Cummings.
There's so many.
Whitney Cummings is funny. I think. See, when I think of.
But he's thinking, I have 2 daughters. I need to be.
No, I'm thinking like these people are more. I've seen. I don't really like watch them. I think Amy Schumer's god awful, but
yes.
But there's
her
some
uncle is awesome though.
What's that?
She has a great uncle though, Chuck Schumer. That's
Chuck
her
Schumer?
uncle.
Is it?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, he's a whole.
I
he's
think
a big barrel
Wanda
of laughs.
Sykes, I think is funny.
Yeah, but I mean, on average.
No, I mean, on average, I'm going to watch. The guys, to me, are more.
Or I'm just saying, in real life, more times than not, guys are funnier than girls. Why? Because guys are trying to impress girls and get laid.
Yeah, that's true.
Girls don't really have to be funny because if you're pretty, you're pretty, right?
Yeah,
For
you
guys,
have the assets.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've noticed. And there are some females that I find funny, but on average, I don't.
Yeah, and I don't particularly care for the ones that are. I don't know, like Amy Schumer or
The one
Nikki
they're
Glaser
basically
or
they're almost trying to
Sarah
be dudes.
Silverman.
They're,
Yeah,
they're
I
trying to
don't wanna-
get so crude.
Oh, suck this one guy's dick. I don't
Sorry,
want to hear
guys.
that.
I'm sorry. I don't think. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. It just doesn't do it. I mean, it's not funny to me, but that maybe I'm just weird.
Allison has hit me with a couple zingers. I remember I said something. I was listening to this guy. I'm like, yeah, he's kind of like a mix of like George Strait and Luke Bryan. I said something. I was trying to sound profound, and she said, "Would you read that in a YouTube comment?" And I'm like, as I'm reading it, I'm like, damn it. So she can hit me pretty good. Or also, I had watched that movie Rome on HBO.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you believe they just went in there and stabbed him? I never. She's like, read a damn history book. This is based on like what actually happened. So, yeah, she's knocked me down a few pegs.
Knocked you off the ladder.
Oh man, she doesn't get me.
She married you.
So what is our? Let's go into the jock itch.
What's your jock itch today?
So a comedy jock itch.
Yeah, what you got?
What I got is cancel culture and its impact on comedians.
Yes. We had this talk on our road trip a little bit.
Yes. And so it's killing comedy. But what I hate more than that, hey, they can do what they want, right? They're just a bunch of freaking hall monitors walking around seeing who's late for class or who put their mouth on the water fountain. You know, they're always going to be around. What I can't stand is when you have comedians or people like, who's the guy that played Borat?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
How they become famous by being
crass and
just as offensive and saying and it was hilarious. And now that they're on top, now suddenly they're like, we need to have standards in comedy or this. Hate speech isn't free speech, and I cannot stand that. Those that bend the knee, right? There's always going to be hall monitors out there. The worst thing you can do, unless you truly made a mistake or truly said something and offended and you didn't mean to, never apologize. That's right. I mean, the mob mentality of those people, they're like the bully, right? You never get anywhere apologizing to the bully. So I cannot stand when comedians, bend the knee to social justice warriors. So that's my jock itch. I can't stand it. Prime example, Stephen Colbert right now. Now, I get why they did it, and that's probably why Norm Macdonald hasn't gone to stratospheric levels because he's
not going to
never.
Yeah.
And that's why I respect him so much more.
We had this conversation about Jimmy Kimmel. Like now he's the clean cut. Everybody loves Jimmy, but
he went on TV crying over Obamacare.
Yeah, and
I'm like, oh God, dude.
This is the same guy that had girls jumping on trampolines in bikinis. Like
same guy who did blackface in the name of comedy. I think he did blackface as Charles Barkley, and he's now on the crusade against white supremacy.
Yeah, I was like, you are such. I cannot stand him. It's just the double standards we talked about in one of the other videos.
Rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah, so I don't know. I see where you're coming from.
That's what I can't stand even more is those that apologize and they just get neutered. Essentially, I mean, Stephen Colbert is essentially castrated when you hear him. I used to absolutely love him. Even when he's making, it's not like I care if they're making fun of the left or the right. It's just funny. But now it's terrible to watch. It's not funny.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been funny.
He was pretty funny. The Stephen Colbert Show when he would call out his guest and he would run out and clap like they were, so he would take all their applause. That shit was hilarious to me. But that's my jock itch.
So the Magic 8 Ball. Will Eddie Murphy, speaking of one of my favorites, have a new stand-up show?
I didn't even know that was in the works.
Yep, Netflix.
I just watched Bowfinger recently that he's in. Hilarious.
And
wait, so is it confirmed on Netflix?
He signed with Netflix, but it was right before COVID.
So it's going to happen.
So supposedly, but still, I think no. I don't think he's going to come back. I don't think he's going to be on stage. I think the contract was like some sort of $75 million contract.
That's it?
So, I mean, it was like,
But inflation. I'm just kidding.
Like some big number.
I would do it for 10% of that.
I would too.
No questions asked right now.
But I think he's comfortable where he is. He doesn't need the spotlight. He's had his glory days, and just because Eddie Murphy was funny in the 80s and early 90s.
Eddie Murphy's still funny. Dude.
He is still funny, but
Dave Chappelle made a resurgence.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle wasn't gone as long as Eddie Murphy was. I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying he went out of the spotlight, came back, and was still able to perform, I guess.
Yeah, but I think Eddie Murphy is one of those, you have to try your material in these small clubs, see if it works right in and out.
I don't think he does.
Oh, he said it. He said riding in cars with.
What does he know?
Who, Eddie Murphy? What does Eddie Murphy know about Eddie Murphy?
Hey, dude, listen to me, dude.
I know everything about Eddie Murphy, and
I know everything about everything, and that includes Eddie Murphy.
And Eddie Murphy doesn't even know Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
But he said that in the cars that he doesn't.
I could see where that'd be terrible. I mean, imagine Richard Pryor was still alive. That brand of comedy, the only thing that would save them is they are black.
Yeah.
Right. There's certain comedy as a white dude you just can't do it. Like you can't really, like because go back and look at their old specials. I mean, man, they were raw. Was it Shaq? Didn't Shaq have like a comedy thing? I went back. He hosted it or whatever. It was like guys like Bernie Mac and all of these guys. You wonder if that would be able to. I think it still could. I think we've been conditioned to say no, and we could never say that. I'm like, yes, you could.
I think we're going to see a
Just
downfall.
Don't apologize.
The cancel culture because everybody's sick of it. So let's ask the.
Let's do an 8-ball.
8-ball.
Is Eddie Murphy going to make his resurgence? God, magic 8-ball. Is Billy ever going to buy glasses?
Well, it like bends. Outlook, good.
Outlook, good.
I could be wrong.
I'm more of a Gmail fan myself, but Outlook, email. That was hilarious. That's my first joke. Just trying it out, guys. Whoa.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of
Absolutely. Magician in the Jock.
Magician in the Jock. Guys, please do us a big favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. If you don't like the video,
you got terrible taste, terrible judgment. And guys, if you need advice on anything,
ask him. He knows everything about everything.
Yep.
Even about yourself.
Yep.
Guys, we'll see you on the next video.
Peace.